Hello, everybody. This is Mark,
And I'm Rob.
and this is Mark and Rob's Sports Showdown, and we're recording this the morning after the big game between Purdue and UConn. We're going to talk about that today. So last night, to me, and I think to anybody that follows basketball, there was a zero surprise result. UConn won by 15, and Zach Edey had a huge game, and UConn had a balanced game by their players. What did you think of the game?
It was pretty predictable. The outcome was pretty predictable.
So they've played in the last 2 years. I think everybody knows this, but I'm going to say it anyways. They have had 12 playoff games in the NCAA tournament, UConn, and their closest game was 13 points, which was last year. Today, the closest game was 15. This year, closest game was 15 points. Pretty amazing for a 2-year run.
Yeah, it's very good.
I didn't look up Florida, the last repeat championship, but I'm sure they had games closer than 13 points. So anyway, Zach Edey did have a great game. If you didn't know, he had 37 points. He was 15 for 25 shooting, and he had 10 rebounds and 2 blocks. For UConn, they had 4 players with 11 or more points, and Newton had the best game for them. He had 20 points and 7 assists, and he was 2 for 5 on threes and 6 for 13. But Klingon got 11, and played pretty good defense considering he was against Zach Edey, and 5 rebounds.
They put that one young guy in there against him when Klingon went out. It was just like
you got a foul call right away. But he was also
small. The poor guy just got the ball. It's just like the commentators are pretty funny. They're it's like, Mom, I'm guarding this big giant. What am I going to do? I can't.
Right. Castle had but Castle had a good game, 15 points. He had 6 for 13 and 5 rebounds, and Spencer had 11 points with 8 rebounds. So
Spencer was also a factor. I thought he could have been MVP too, if not Newton. He played really aggressive and played hard and helped out in the defense when they doubling down on Edey which they finally did. It kind of surprised him a couple of times a little.
Well, difference between last year's team and this year's team in Purdue is that their team got better at 3-point shooting. When they lost, I remember watching the game last year when they got eliminated. I actually don't watch 1 versus 16 usually, but I usually just glance through it, and I could, if they were behind, I'll click on it if it's like 4 teams are going on. But I ended up watching it. Everybody was afraid to take a shot in the fourth quarter except for Edey, because they weren't great outside shooters. But I guess they all improved. Their shooting percentage was good. Their 3-point shooting was. But last night, guess what they were? 1 for 7. Not only didn't they make the shots, they only took 7. And that's because UConn was aware of what they wanted to do. Dip it in, and double team, go out.
That's what I was saying before the game. I said they're going to extend out and get out on the 3-point shooters. And they shut down the one guy. He did get 12 points as Smith. He got 12 points, but he was not. They found he was a factor. And then Jones was non-existent.
Smith was 4 for 12, and in 3 points he was only 1 for 2. So they needed was 3-point shooting. They needed to take more 3-point shots, and they needed to make a lot more, because they needed to probably get more 3-point shots than Connecticut. And Connecticut actually had only completed 6 for 22. They weren't great either, but that's 5 more threes. So,
and also, and then it depends on when you hit the three. The key moments with the teams coming back on you.
Right. Well, if it was a close game, key moments are important. I'm not sure there was. I don't know.
Well, Purdue started coming back, and then Purdue started coming back to call a timeout, and then they hit a couple of threes, and then they had to call a timeout. Purdue had to call a timeout when Connecticut made another run.
Yep. Anyway, so I have nothing really much more to say except for that UConn has a great all-around team, and they played great defense. They have balanced offense. Yep. They don't seem to have any. Every team has weaknesses, but they don't have any major weaknesses whatsoever, and they have a great coach.
Yeah, you like him as a coach? You like Dan?
How can you not? I mean, how can you? He coached a team that's not super talented to 2 championships 2 years in a row. How can he not be a great coach?
Yeah, I mean, you can tell a great coach when after a timeout, and then they design a play, and it goes. I mean, the kids execute it to the perfection. They took a timeout, ran a play, backdoor layup. I was like, wow, that's awesome. They did it twice, so I was like, wow, that's perfect. That's kind of coach. That's good coaching.
Well, so Zach Edey is two-time Player of the Year, and he also is going into the NBA. And there's some doubt by people whether or not he will be drafted high and how successful he'll be. What is your take on that?
I want to know. I want to know who these people are, and
Well, I mean, it's been more than one person. So
yeah, but I mean, I want to know who these people are. They're not watching the same game we are, because if they watched last night, I mean, I was watching him too. I was like, okay, he's got that nice little hook shot, which is he's 7'4", which is unstoppable. He's got a nice little, he did an up and under move, which is really nice. Little Kevin, we call that the Kevin McHale move, because he made that famous up and under. And he's got, he rolled to the basket, and he's active. He's very active. He played. Usually he plays him the whole game, so that was their goal, to get him tired. But if he plays like 30 minutes in a game, he's fine. He's gonna be dominant.
Some person on YouTube sarcastically said, "Oh, he's gonna play 6 minutes a game, like 6 minutes a game." And I guess the criticism of him is that he's not fast or quick, although he's certainly not slow for his size. Is that he's going to have problems on defense, especially the way the NBA has changed with the 3-point shot, and sometimes the center goes out and hits and takes 3-point shots and stuff like that, reacting to pick and rolls and stuff like that, because there's so much of that with the 3-point shots. So I think obviously that will be not his strong suit, but to say he's not going to be successful in the NBA, to me, is really mind-boggling. And 50 years ago, obviously he's not going to be as good as he was when the NBA was different. But 50 years ago, he would have been the number one pick without question. They would do everything they could to be the number one pick 50 years ago. Let's put it that, for him to get him. And he would also be looked at as a franchise player for the next 15 years for any team that drafts him. And now they're like, well, he might not even be a lottery pick. I go, okay.
He's good. If you don't, oh yeah, I don't know. I don't know who these. Like I said, I don't know who these. I want these guys jobs. If they get paid for it, I want their jobs. Just to say something like that, because it's not going to be possible. He's going to be really. He plays defense. He had nice block shots. I mean, not every big guy, unless you're guarding Porzingis, about the same, almost a little taller, and he's shooting the 3-pointers, you might have trouble with that. But you're not going to put him out there on Porzingis. You can put somebody else smaller on him. So them saying that doesn't even make sense.
No, and all the tall centers in the NBA are skinny compared to him, and that they're going to have trouble when he wants to post up.
Like they made an effect last night. Do you know they have like it's not an AAU team, but they have IMF teams down like in Florida, with all the really good, supposedly best basketball players in the country, young basketball players in the country, and he wasn't even on the first team. He was on the second team.
Well, I think that what you said about 30 minutes would probably be accurate. He doesn't seem like a player that's going to average 36 minutes or anything like that, because he's a big guy and he gets more tired. And, so I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to, maybe in some situations where they want to go small, he'll play fewer minutes. He may play half the game, but he's certainly going to start, and he's certainly going to be a good player. I can see him being an all-star. I don't see him being the best player in the league or anything like that, but I don't know. We'll find out. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll find out what happened. I think he'll play the 28 to 30 minutes that you're talking about, and it'll be a good play.
Yeah, he'll be, like I said, he's going to. I mean, like, he's not going to be the dominant whatever, but I mean, he'll be a pro for a while. I mean, once he gets that ball inside, I love how he bodies up. He knows. Sometimes when I coached big kids, they were kind of soft, and they were afraid to be kind of aggressive. He gets the ball and he turns, and the guy's trying to guard him. He'll body them, which is kind of cool. He'll body him and he'll go, "I'm going up and I'm going to score on you." I mean, he missed a couple of dunks, but I mean, he's aggressive when he gets the ball. He's not soft, with it. He gets it and he's got a purpose with it. Okay,
well, great analysis there, Rob. I think I am looking forward to seeing what the viewership is. In the women's game, they came out since our last time we taped a show, and it was 18.7 million.
That's awesome.
For the average. That's predicted great. 20 million, a little off, but only 1.3 million off. And total viewership was actually, not total viewership. I'm sorry. Yeah. peak viewership was 24.7 million. Was actually
Yeah, that's
higher than
awesome.
I thought, or maybe about what I thought. Yeah, I said 20 million. I didn't really predict the peak viewership. So that was great. Now the question to me is, last year the men were at 14.7 million for the game, which was the lowest rated one in like 20 years or something like that. And even someone said the lowest one ever, but the viewership view things, they're not sure about some of the ones in the earlier days. So that's 14.7 million. So that's the lowest one ever that recorded that they did that. And now the question is, will the 18.7 million beat this year's game?
What you mean for the women's? Oh, the women's are definitely out, definitely. And the men, I think I predicted. I think I told you. I mean, it was 14 last year.
14.7, I think, for average.
I'd say only because of Edey, and then the good matchup between the first and second seeds. They were the first seeds in the regionals, but I mean, in rankings, first and second, it'll probably be up a little. Maybe I give it like 15 or 16.
It definitely will be up from next year. It was a better matchup than last year, and this year actually the ratings were up like 10% for the whole tournament. So it's going to be somewhere between the 15 and 20 million. It's going to be up, but whether it's going to be, I don't think it's going to hit 18.7, but who knows? Yeah. It's a good matchup. And so Purdue brought an interesting dynamic to the matchup with Zach Edey. And so we'll see what happens.